It's a pleasure to spend this time with you and introduce to you today's guest, Erica Marrero. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor.
So please tell us in your own words who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Erica. I grew up in Miami. I was born in New York. My mother was Ecuadorian, father Puerto Rican.
What a mix, huh?
Everybody always says that. I've met very few people who have the same mix, so I guess it's a little exclusive.
Yeah.
I am a paralegal. I've been in the legal field for over 15 years. I'm a poet and spoken word artist. That is something that started as a hobby that I started taking more seriously. I am also a business owner. I have an online beauty business. I host a book club. I am just very involved with the community and just helping other people build confidence within themselves.
And what do you think ties you so closely to our community here in Miami?
Oh my God, I grew up here, right? So I have a love for Miami. Whenever somebody asks me where I'm from, I'm like, where was I born or where am I from? Because I was born in New York and I love New York. I mean, that's part of my heart, but I grew up here. And so I have a special love for Miami and the community here. I feel like it's such a diverse community. I've met such amazing people. I've been blessed with such a solid circle for decades. In fact, it's something that my mother never understood because from her generation was like, oh, you can't trust anybody. But in this lifetime, I was blessed to have people in my life that are solid and still present today.
Amen. Thank God for that, right?
Yes.
I want to get into how you connect with our community through performance poetry and spoken word.
So I've been writing since I was in high school. The love of hip hop is what introduced me to it. I was like, I would listen to Biggie Smalls, but I could do that. I could write stories and rhymes. And I stopped writing because I was just recording sad stuff and I didn't want to remember that. And then one day it just came pouring out of me. My sister pushed me to do my first open mic, and that was an exhilarating experience. I prepared for it for months. And then it wasn't until the second time that I performed, because I was like riding a high, and then the second time, after I finished, some girl came up to me and she like grabbed me by the shoulders. She's like, you don't understand how much I needed to hear that poem. And she like pulled me in and gave me this like squeeze, and at the time I was not very affectionate. My hands were like at my side. I'm like, what is happening right now? Yes. But I felt that. I never forgot her, and in that moment I realized what my sister had been telling me, because she's like, people need to hear what you're writing, it's just so relatable. And I haven't stopped since. It's like this invisible string that I'm able to connect with people in certain parts and different poems. And it's special when I share my dating pieces and like the men are the one that resonate. I'm like, you feel me?
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I gotta do this. Do you have a little something that maybe you can recite for us now?
I do, yes. Can I make innuendos?
Take it away.
Okay, so this piece is called High Low. For every low I've reached, I've craved a different kind of high. Never quite knowing the right way or time to say goodbye, just kind of hoped I'd wake up one day and wouldn't notice you stopped saying hello. Please hold the urge to explain why you felt the need to go. Scattered ashes when the winds of change began to blow. Why'd you go back to what you used to know? Treading troubled water too shallow to swallow. I thought we both would have rather been blind. Intermingled within poems, words that rhyme but mean nothing now. The crowd applauds, never knowing who I'm speaking to or about. Crazy how they love the way it hurts to let it out. The way my pain shouts, so my voice never has to. Not much room for positive in these blues, purpled organs that prove how deep love can bruise. How will I ever love again, trust again, Believe again that true love can mend where we've been broken. Who will put in the work to show the worth in letting love win? Will I be brave enough to let someone new in should they knock? I'm afraid to open, standoffish, knowing it's always been easier being alone.
That is so beautiful. I have chills. I'm sure everybody on the other end feels the same way. So with that being said, can you please tell us about the open mics that you are involved in here in Miami? That way we can go and check you out live.
Well, right now we're actually looking for a new home. I'm trying to work that out because I do work during the day. I'm a paralegal, so between the commuting and all that, I'm trying to find the right schedule. But if you want to keep up with when I do find a spot, there's a few places I have in mind. You can follow me at my writing page, E-Writes Stuff, and that's where you can keep up with where I'm going to be doing it. But up until now, I've been involved with Speak Fridays, and we work together.
Shout out to Rob and everybody on that team.
Yeah, my boy Ron, who hosts the Sip and Speak shows. And so we want to collaborate and definitely bring it back more consistently because, after post-pandemic, we're just trying to get back up and running and bring that. It's just over a decade of that work and community and just giving artists a platform, and all kinds of artists, all kinds of talent have touched that stage. So,
well, I may have a spot for you, so make sure you guys stay tuned. There's still so much more to talk about with Erica, so don't change that dial. We're going to be back in a flash. I'm Dre Mob, kicking it with Erica Marrero. We've talked about your background, poetry, performances, events, your IGTV series, Truth Tellers. I definitely want to get into before we talk about anything else. Tell me about Truth Tellers.
So Truth Tellers started in the pandemic when things slowed down, and at this time I had stepped away from writing so much. My paralegal job really took over. I was going to trial back to back. It was also around the time that I lost my mom. And so I wanted to get back into the creativity. I was up to my ears in unexpressed emotions, right? I was clogged up. And I just wanted to get back into the flow of writing. So I selfishly, it was a selfish thing, I'm not gonna lie. And I was I have all these amazing poets that are just so dope. I want to hear them, and maybe that'll spark something inside of me. And that's really how it started. And then
which it's okay to be selfish sometimes, by the way.
And I wanted other people to also know the amazing people that are out there. Yeah, I'm great. I do, I'm in the poetry scene, but I know all these other artists that you should know too if you really like my work. This is who I've learned from, who I've collaborated with, who I've grown with. And so that's how I started. It was just my friends, and they're yeah, hell yeah, we can do it live. And that's just how it started, and it became more and more consistent.
What does that mean to you, Truth Tellers IGTV series?
Truth Tellers is about people who come, so it's all unscripted, raw, uncut. I don't edit anything. However, you speak from the heart and you tell your journey. And it's been focused mainly on artists because selfishly I wanted to tap into my creativity, so other poets and singers, and I wanted to branch out and just have all kinds of people with a story that can shed light and just lead the way for other people who trailblazers, this is how I did it, and if this is the path that you're on, this is what you want to avoid, and this is how you can get there. And so that collaboration with the community.
Okay, that's beautiful. So now let's get into something a little more light. Beauty, the brains, self-care, and those curls. I don't know why you held those curls back from me today, but let's talk about all of that.
Yeah, so my hair routine goes from being down and beautiful and fresh to getting up in a ponytail just to extend the washes. But yeah, I started my journey with my hair back when I was 30. I remember I chopped it all off. The curls changed. It was so long, and I just was over it. I had my hair long at that time for so many years. That's all I knew. Chopped it off. And then I just started to take better care of my hair. I got a dry cut. Shout out to the Curl Whisperer, Yenny. That's the girl you want to go to. And then I found Monet 3 years ago, and the reason that Monet was left such an impression on me is because at the time I was losing my hair on the crown of my head. And from stress, from poor lifestyle choices, and it promotes natural hair growth. So I was what? This isn't hereditary. I thought the Puerto Ricans that was kicking in, girl. My dad lost his hair on the crown. I was oh no, my curls! And my hair was just thinning so bad, and you could see my scalp. It was bad. So and the rest was history, like that. And then I started using their products, and working the business really just changed who I am as a person. It had so much to do with it.
Well, from an outsider's perspective, I can definitely testify that you had a total change when that kind of came into your life. I don't know if it was the loss of your mom, which, you know, obviously my condolences for. But what does it mean to you to not just make this money from your business, you know, have the success that you have, be happy, and quote unquote live a life of fulfillment?
So fulfillment was something that I had to sit with myself with, you know, about. And the thing is, I had to redefine what success meant to me, because I remember after my mother passed, my career as a paralegal was like the forefront of my life. It was the most important thing to me, because I was, you know, chasing this feeling of success, of accomplishment, you know, and I'm very into with my masculine energy, so I would identify what I was worth with what I could produce. And then after losing my mom, and I threw myself back into work even more, I remember sitting in my office. I had a 2-bedroom apartment. My second room was like my fancy get ready room, and I'm packing for this trial. I remember sitting there exhausted after a crazy work schedule, and just not being even able to pack. And I'm looking at my apartment, which I loved, and I was like, I'm working so hard, killing myself for what? Like, I've lost the most important person to me, and none of this means anything to me. Like, I would walk away from this right now if somebody wanted it and said, here, you can go live somewhere for free for a year. Like, you don't have to worry about anything. Good catch. And so,
Fulfillment.
yeah, sorry. And so then I was like, success didn't feel how I thought it was supposed to feel. I was missing the connection to myself.
Because you were measuring it wrong, huh?
Right. And, you know, finding Monade and like partnering up with Monade, I didn't ever intend to take the business side of things seriously. I didn't intend for being a salesperson. I thought that was yucky. Like, I thought like pushy and begging people to buy stuff. I'm like, oh hell no, I'm so for this. No way. I'm like, and then I'll give it to people for free. Like, here, you can have it. That's just my personality, you know, and I'm like very generous. But I didn't identify with that. I identified with the community and culture and giving back. And so I made my first sale through an organic conversation, and then I was like, oh my God, this is what matters to me. It's connecting with people. And up until that point, I had only known that through sharing my poetry on stage and being vulnerable, and that's where everything kind of shifted for me, because I was like, oh my God, that's right. How could I lose sight of what I value, which is connection, and the only way you can connect is by being vulnerable. And I haven't been vulnerable because I haven't been writing and sharing my poetry, so I have the wrong priorities. My priorities are misaligned. And so that's when I just started shifting, and I just reconnected with myself and redefined what fulfillment meant to me.
So basically you checked yourself, which we all need to do from time to time, right? Because sometimes we don't even realize what we're doing, not just around others, but to ourselves. But let the people know where they can go ahead and contact you, and then we're going to take another quick break.
You can reach me on IG at I am Erika, ERIKA .Yvette, YVETTE, or my writing page if you are focused only on the creative side of things, E Writes Stuff.
Erika, thank you once again for sharing your time with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So before we go, there's still so much that I want to talk to you about, so we're definitely going to have to get together off air. But I definitely want to talk about you opening up for Rupi Kaur. Just tell me that whole experience, how it happened, how you manifested that.
That is, oh my God, okay, so that was a monumental moment for me in my my poetry career, and it goes to show like all of those times that I was practicing in the car on the way home in traffic, or, you know, spending time with myself, really prioritizing my writing time, my practicing time, just really
in the shower, you know,
all of that. You know, all of the time that I took to practice and recite and learn my pieces really came in handy because I was prepared for that moment. I didn't even know that she was auditioning for people to open for her. She has a world tour going on. She's in Europe, I think, now. And so I saw my girl have auditions, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna audition. So I saw my girl at the open mic that I was hosting at the time at Dogfish. And she was like, you haven't submitted your thing? So I ended up sending it in, and I was selected out of 4,000 people to open for Fort Lauderdale show. It was amazing. It was a huge honor. And what's special about that, thank you. What's special about that is that right before I submitted that audition, I had so much going on in April that I was like, something has to go. I'm just gonna have to put the poetry on the back burner. Like, I'm not I don't have time for my passion right now, right? It's sad to say, but that was what my thought process was. And then I auditioned, and then a week before...
Yes, you do have time.
A week before I got selected, I was like in my head, like I probably didn't even... I picked the wrong poem. I should have done one that was like shows my cadence, da-da-da. Girl, I was selected. And then I felt like that was a sign from the universe. It's like, whatever else you have going on needs to get put on the back burner. Like, you have a message to share, and you need to get it out there.
And sometimes we're unaware of the power that we have and the influence that we have on others just by sharing our stories, which is another reason why we brought you onto the show, because we feel it's so necessary for everybody to just hear what you're going through, how you dealt with it, and what that's made you learn and become. Is there any further advice or words of affirmation or positive thoughts that you want to leave our audience with?
I think that for anybody who has an artist journey is to just never give up and never stop practicing. Push your pen, push yourself to the limit, because when you think that you've reached your limit, you haven't. That's just another glass ceiling for you to break through. And the only limits we have are the ones we put on ourselves mentally. But when you continue practicing and you continue doing the work, you never know when the opportunity is going to be around the corner. If I wouldn't have practiced and I wouldn't have gone out to all those open mics, the ones that I was hosting and the ones that I attended, or turned down the show where it was just 2 people in the audience, I would never have been able to get in front of an audience of plus 1,000 people that I borrowed from an internationally renowned poet. I was prepared for that moment, and all the work I did behind the scenes is what did that. So just don't ever stop.
Any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to Speak Fridays, to my house poet family, to just anybody who's ever supported me, who's ever gone to any of my shows, who's critiqued me, who's told me what they didn't like, because you always hear the positive, right? But it's the negative things that you encounter and the negative feedback that really is what makes you grow, right? They're growing pains. And so I appreciate all of that.
Okay, so drop your social media before we go.
So you guys can find me at ewritesstuff on IG, or my personal page is I am Erica, ERIKA .Yvette, YVETTE. It's my middle name.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Next, we got 305 Radio, a Miami podcast, live with Struck and I, so stay tuned.